Now, as many of us across the country unwrap the presents, the nation's politicians, yes, they are still there, have been busy unwrapping the new year in politics, with some offering comfort and calm and others slipping a political grenade neatly among the tinsel.
Yes, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, urged people to reach out to loved ones this Christmas, speaking after the loss of his brother, who died on Boxing Day last year.
I know many across Britain are still struggling with the cost of living. Helping with that is my priority. But at this time of the year, which celebrates love and abundance, loss or hardship can feel even more acute. So call round to a neighbour, check in on a friend or a relative who you haven't heard from for a while. Reach out. It can make a huge difference.
That's a good message, actually. Reach out, and especially if you are feeling lonely this Christmas, we are here for you. Meanwhile, Kemi Badenoch has reflected on motherhood and tradition and thanked her supporters as she marks an end to her first full year as opposition leader.
Christmas is the most special time of year. A time for making merry, of course, seeing friends. But more than anything, Christmas is about family. One of the privileges of being a mother is watching my children grow up, and it happens so quickly. So this Christmas, I'm excited to spend lots of quality time with them. With that in mind, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has supported me during my first year as leader of the opposition. It's been the biggest challenge of my life, but it's also been a wonderful year.
Well, the Liberal Democrats struck a sharper note with Sir Ed Davey using his festive message to warn about right-wing conspiracy theories, even dragging the Trafalgar Square Christmas tree into the argument.
Now, this Christmas tree behind me gets a lot of abuse every year. The social media trolls who spread right-wing conspiracy theories like to compare it to the tree in New York City, in Warsaw and in Budapest. They say it is an example of our country's decline. And I have to admit, on the surface, it does look a little underwhelming, but it's also my favourite Christmas tree.
Oh, no words. Any case, meanwhile, over in Clacton, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage delivered a more hands-on Christmas message, dropping off presents to young people and local workers in his constituency.
Here in the Clacton constituency, delivering gifts to kids in the homes, and oh boy, you know, if you've got problems in your life, think about some of these youngsters and what they've gone through. Then, of course, we've been out and collecting gifts from the butcher so the ambulance crews can have a really good meal on Christmas Day, and just going out around the community and feeling very much they were actually pleased for the local MP to make the effort to come to see them. And to FC Clacton, where lots and lots of screaming kids were looking forward to a really big sit-down meal. A lot of those kids, foster kids, etc., and for them to all be together, and wasn't it joyous? And that's what Christmas, really, I think for many of us, is about.
Oh.
And whilst we eagerly await to hear what the Green Party leader Zach Polanski's message will entail, it's expected that he'll call for £100 million to be spent on kindness to Channel migrants in pre-recorded message set to be delivered at 3 p.m. The same time, of course, as the King's speech. I know which one I'll be watching.
It's not all about you, Zach, by the way. Any case, former political advisor James Price joins us now to delve in the real message behind the messages. James, what did you make of that lot?
Well, good morning, everybody. Merry Christmas. Thank you for having me, especially to Aidan's purple Christmas jumper. Blimey, that is fabulous. It was a real mixed bag, wasn't it? I mean, let's start with the Prime Minister. It's obviously a very sad message about his poor brother that he lost this time last year. And it's also, I think, very nice of him to make this point about wanting to reach out to people. But even when Starmer talks about things that he genuinely cares about, we know, for example, he really loves football, but when he talks about it, it sounds so insincere. I don't understand how the guy has been in frontline politics for a decade now and yet still manages to come across as so wooden, bless him. And I think it was GBNews' Patrick Christie's who tweeted out a day or two ago that when the Prime Minister went to do that trip to go and see members of the armed forces, which is always a wonderful tradition, he sits there and they're all having their full English breakfast, and he's just got got a plate of beans in front of him. And as Patrick Christie's asks, why is he always so weird with these things? So I give him a 4 or 5 out of 10 on the Prime Minister's message.
This interruption is brought to you by ExpressVPN and their massive Christmas deal. Right now, you can get up to 80% off ExpressVPN. Every time you jump online to grab a last-minute gift, there's someone out there trying to grab your card details and passwords. ExpressVPN puts an encrypted shield between you and the cybercriminals, so you can protect your privacy, money, and identity. But hurry, this deal ends on the 26th of December, so scan the QR code or click the link in the description now.
What about Davey, though? He going overtly political, standing next to that scrawny old Christmas tree in Trafalgar Square and telling us we should love it.
Well, if I had to give him a rating, it's maybe a 0.5 out of 10 because he doesn't, fall over and his trousers don't fall off. The story of that Christmas tree is actually wonderful. It is a gift every year from Norway because we took the Norwegian royal family in during the Second World War. So it is a nice story. But Davey manages to politicise it and go on about, what was it, right-wing trolls and conspiracy theories. I mean, look, I know we're up early talking politics on Christmas Day, but there's a better time and place to do it. And Ed Davey, of all people, who during the last election campaign was off debasing himself, playing on log flumes and messing around with stunts, you'd have thought he could have come up with something a bit more full of Christmas cheer, couldn't you?
They could give us a better tree, though, surely.
I think that's a traditional Norwegian, nice and tall and lean. And if we knew the story, I think it's lovely.
It's tradition. I mean, it's what most of the trees look like in the forest. I mean, they don't all look like that, unfortunately. Certainly don't look like that.
Yeah, I mean, that one in New York City, maybe the last time they see something quite as fancy in New York, given the new mayor they've got coming in is going to bankrupt the city in record time. But we've managed to avoid that, and despite Sadiq Khan's tenure in London. And I think it's a lovely symbol because it's Britain at its best. Even I think the Swedes refused to take in the Norwegian royal family. A Swedish chap who works for me was telling me the story. It's a low moment in Sweden's history and a great moment for Britain that we took the Norwegian royals in, and there's a lovely Christmas message in there, I'm sure, as well.
Okay, and let's just mention Kemi. It's her first year as leader of the opposition. I mean, she seems to be finishing the year on a bit of a personal high in the polls.
Yeah, absolutely right. She seems to have sort of found her stride. And it's just both of the right of centre leaders had this genius idea, who'd have thought of it, to put some music in their Christmas videos. And automatically it just lifts the whole moment. And Kemi talks about her Christianity, which I think is a wonderful thing, talks about how she was raised as a Christian. And between her, I think, is raised as a Methodist, and her husband and kids raised as Catholics, that they're working out their own Christmas traditions, which is that lovely thing when couples get together and you work out, oh, we open presents at this time, oh, we eat this kind of where we eat our sprouts or whatever, and talking about family and about traditions and about Christianity, which seems like wonderful messaging, and it's more hopeful and uplifting, as you say, after the budget response, after her conference speech, the fact that she's learned how to do PMQs, ending the year on a real high note for Kemi Badenoch.
Okay, James, and just quickly, and finally, what are you up to today? What's your Christmas day looking like?
I'm back in my mum and dad's family village, and I wouldn't normally compare myself to Jesus. There's no room at the inn because of so many other family members staying with mum and dad. So we're in the local hotel around the corner, and we'll be popping around to mum and dad's after this.
And whilst we eagerly await to hear what the Green Party leader, Zach Balence's message will entail, it's expected he will call for £400 million to be sent on kindness to Channel migrants in a pre-recorded message set to be delivered at 3 o'clock, the same time as the King's speech.
Because the billions we're spending on Channel migrants clearly just isn't enough. Well, we're joined by former political advisor James Price. Merry Christmas again, James. Thanks for joining us. Zach Polanski, do you think that's going to be received with glad tidings across the country?
Yeah, it's good. Merry Christmas, everybody. It's the message that absolutely nobody is clamouring to hear from. I suppose he's the leader of the Green Party and he's acting like the Grinch, and so the kind of green theme works out perfectly. I think we'll be tuning in to listen to what His Majesty has to say, who is himself enough of an environmentalist in His Majesty to make up for the fact that the Green Party leader hasn't talked about environmental issues, I think, at all, really, since he's come in. It's all culture war issues. It's all, as you say, migrant crossings and the rest rest of it. And look, Adam Smith once said that mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. And for all the people who are coming over in those boats that we then have to house and all the rest of it, are people around the world who really are in desperate straits, who Britain will not therefore have the resources or the willpower to be able to go and help. And I think that should be a message that we should really be focusing on, actually being kind in our public policy to those who really need it. And I don't think that young men, and it's always men, isn't it, crossing over and breaking into the country are necessarily the people that we should be giving the most of our charity to in this time of year.
And James, I noticed on the drive in this morning, very early, very dark, very cold Christmas morning, and there was a homeless encampment, and sort of like, I looked at them and I thought, there are people we need to be helping on our streets before we encourage more people to come over here and hand the money out to them. I mean, you know, priorities.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. You know, there's no moral obligation to do things that you can't do, right? There's no moral obligation to do things you cannot do. And therefore, we are a country that has been used to being rich for a long time, and not to be too miserable at Christmas. We're not that rich a country anymore. We are absolutely trillions of pounds in debt, which is very, very dangerous, and that gets higher every year. 2026 will be no different, spending more, I think twice as much on just servicing that debt, just to stand still, twice as much on that as we are on our defence spending. So the idea that we can go and do more of these sorts of things, it might be nice, but if we're going to do that, then Zach Polanski needs to radically change his view of economics to get growth going again, which also, by the way, the Labour Party have failed to do, if we want to be charitable. As Mrs. Thatcher, devout Conservative and devout Christian, once said, that a good Samaritan needed more than good intentions. He also had to have money to help, and you need both to help people out.
Talking about Grinch-like messages, clearly for many of the Christmas messages from our senior politicians, they've been really heartfelt and emotional. But Ed Davey, what's going on there that he has to get a dig in to the far right, really?
Honestly, for someone that doesn't seem to do a huge amount of actual policy work, you think he could take this one day off. Mark, I heard you earlier on when GBNews contributors were putting some of their wonderful photographs of their trees and watching the channel this morning. You had a bit of a dig at this wonderful Trafalgar Square tree. And unfortunately, I'll have to side with Ed Davey in standing up for it, because it is this wonderful symbol of Britain helping Norway out during the Second World War, and it's a gift therefore that gets sent every year. But it's about the only thing I can think that I agree with Ed Davey on. He manages to make Keir Starmer look statesmanlike in Prime Minister's questions every week. And if you think that this is a party that used to be represented by people like William Gladstone and Lord Palmerston and these sort of titanic figures from British history, and now they've got this complete clown spending a Christmas message talking about far-right conspiracy theories, take a day off, watch Nigel Farage's video, watch Kemi Badenoch's video. That's how it's done. Let's have more family cheer and good Christian fellowship rather than Ed Davey's conspiracy theories.
Well said, James.
James, thank you very much. That's former political advisor James Price. Very Merry Christmas to you and yours, James. Thank you very much for joining us.